so far?
I'm Etzion from Haifa, Israel. Today, 15th November 2025. We'll continue with our sessions with the book of Genesis, which is the original version of the theme of creation. This is when God spoke to Master Moses. God speaks, the very first version of God speaks. Direct communion of Master Moses with the avatar, as we understand it today. At that time, of course, we didn't use the word avatar. Even we have hints that there is a possibility that Lord Abraham, the patriarch, who initiated the Hebrew people or the Jewish people or as I call it, the people of the book, might be immigrated from India. His name, Abraham, A is negative in Sanskrit, Abrahamim, non-Brahmin. There is some story which I found somewhere. He had a dispute with Brahmins in India. He had to leave the country. Eventually came to Mesopotamia. From the Mesopotamia, he moved to the land of Canaan, the land of Canaan, what is being called today the Promised Land, the state of Israel. Arabs, Arabic Israelis, back then in Palestine, which was actually given by the British mandate. We're not dealing with names of territories, but the spiritual meaning of our mission on earth. And I said many times in the past, the earth doesn't belong to anyone, and nobody can say this is my land and this is your land, and like all these artificial lines of borders which keep on shifting the past thousand years due to non-stop wars between humans. Book of Genesis came to explain why we have non-stop wars and how to reduce it or even eliminate it. We brought it upon ourselves when we were in a very distant past, maybe a few tens of millions of years ago. We lived in a reasonable harmony, reasonable brotherhood. We felt more like one body. Most probably our state of consciousness was, or intelligence was not so advanced like today. And some say actually, in comparison, we are retarded species because we were very much so aware of the spiritual worlds. And they had machines and techniques that we don't have, but we see relics all over the planet, like Machu Picchu, Egypt, all kinds of structures which nobody knows, which we cannot erect these days. It supposedly belongs to these ancient civilizations. According to the Ramayana, there were flying machines, and even they used nuclear weapons. And one of our prophets, Zechariah, mentioned that the last war will be, he gave a description that the people melted. This can happen only during atomic blast. And people in Japan, for in Hiroshima, witnessed, they saw people melting in front of their eyes. Unbelievable what was going on there. And since then, the past few thousands of years, we believe since Zoroaster, the spiritual hierarchy, or what we call the gods, started to help humanity to come back to its original place, where we have so the divine beloved kept on incarnating on earth the past 7,000 years, as we understand it, so various forms and names that we So the Meherabad know some or most of them. We know that Meherabad also was counted as an avatar, meaning the divine being comes to this realm, which is not his duty. There's nothing to achieve here anymore. He comes here to adjust the karma of the negative karma of humanity in all that it will not shatter the creation, it will shatter the creation or shatter or eliminate humankind from the face of the earth. As was mentioned in the book of Genesis, the Lord said that he was so creating us. That's an explicit expression in the book of Genesis. You can find before the flood. And after this sentence, which is quite harsh sentence to all of us, and he like Noah from the flood, survived, the only survivor. But even this one survivor, when he landed back on Earth after the flood, see all his descendants kept on doing evil on the face of the earth. They created the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is a self-active humanity trying to build our own towers of imagination, creating false worlds. Actually, we didn't learn anything. We didn't learn anything until now. And all the attempts have failed. Baba speaks about spiritual circles. We know the Mandali, our great Mandali. I admire all of them, of course, men and women, outstanding human beings. There is Baba Circle, but we don't know after they left which and where and what is a continuation of these circles of groups of people with spiritual consciousness to whatever level, which doesn't matter so much. It's just to be aware. So many people became aware that of the divinity of the avatar. So there is divinity at all. So we could experience divinity in action on earth. So we can follow it. Of course, none of us can reach the level of the avatar. This is not the point. The point is, should be consciously aware there is divinity on earth, and we have to manifest it to a certain degree, whatsoever degree we can. Follow his footsteps. And the idea is, what I have understood over the years, that one perfect master is equal to the entire body of humanity. If all humans would work together with perfect accord, just like this physical body of mine or us, all of us, all these 15 trillion cells working together, the perfect harmony. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to manifest in the physical realm. So why can't we, 12 people, 20 people, 5 people work together with complete harmony, accepting each other as we are, and learn to work together? And thus we would create at least some spiritual focus on earth. Even this little thing here and there. It's not happening. We are not doing it for whatever reason. And Baba didn't try, he spoke about the spiritual circle, didn't try to establish it, he didn't make some religion like in the past. Like these so-called great religions who claim that they are doing it, and of course we know they're not doing it. It's a mess on earth, and the tremendous amount of ignorance and the increasing negative karma on earth, which is must shatter the creation. Eventually it has to be balanced. And in this state, if there's no spiritual directive on earth, it might be catastrophic. What's going to be, I don't know. It's in the hand of the Lord. And, so we don't care so much what's going to be and what's not going to be. Anyway, So we start again with a humble musical piece. It is a band from 7 years ago. My band in Haifa, we used to get together with other bands in Israel. Almost each town there is very able musicians, and they get together and they have their own bands. And I'll share with you a band. Come together a few years ago. We do it like once, twice a year. We like to get together various bands in the country and share together. It's a very interesting experience. This was a small band, 50 participants from the city of Zichron Yaakov, the memory of Yaakov, after one of the Rothschild family established that particular place about half an hour drive south of Haifa towards Tel Aviv. It's a really beautiful location. So I can see 15 people. Our band in Haifa is at least 30 these days, I believe, more or less. But what you can see, the 15 individuals, separated individuals. I don't think they're spiritually oriented. Maybe they do or not. Of course, I have no idea. I didn't ask. But they work together with, you can see it, with a relatively good accord. Otherwise, at least didn't hear any special squeaks. And I think the music is a very effect also. We have so many musicians in the Baba community and everywhere, and there's a universal language. We don't need translation. You can play this piece any country in the world. You don't need to give them a transliteration because the music is music. It's a universal language. You don't need to study. There's one language that everybody understands. And this language says the harmonious unity of the separate individuals. It's a goal of creation to learn to work together with one accord. For this, you must have a conductor. In our state of spirituality, the conductor must have some spiritual advancement, is to be consciously aware of our state. It doesn't need to be perfect master, doesn't need to be 6 minutes. All these things are totally irrelevant. These are just getting lost in all these things. We just have to learn to work together, to accept the union of the opposite, as I call it. It's the beauty of the music. It's the union of the opposites, the various instruments and the contrapunct, etc. You know, any person who studies a little bit of music understands that's what music does. And from this, we'll continue with the book of Genesis. With the book of Genesis, the original version of God Speaks, or theme of creation, which Baba gave to Master Moses when they supposedly met on the mountain of Sinai. It is not in Sinai Peninsula. For various recent investigations, there is such a mountain in the northern part of Saudi Arabia, the Arabia Peninsula, just between Saudi and the Kingdom of Jordan today. There are all kinds of relics there. There is some evidence something happened in the past, and the legends that the Santa Canaria, the Jabal, Mount Sinai is in the Sinai Peninsula is maybe wrong. But we don't really know what's the real truth about this. The real truth about this, that we have a book, which we call the Book of Genesis, and this book, you know, it's at least 3,000 years old. These original versions that Master Moses gave us. And then we have the evidence of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls are almost accurately the same as what we got in the Hebrew, which I can read, called square letter Hebrews. And we'll continue working on it. We reach the story of Joseph or Joseph. Most of these names in the Hebrew Bible were altered by the translators. Abraham became Abraham, Joseph became Joseph, Yaakov, Jacob. They presumably difficulties they translate to Greek or the Hellenistic language, and presumably they preferred all these. There is Yah is actually the name of the Lord, one of his names, Yaakov. follow the Lord also. Yehoshua, Jesus, Yehoshua, see the Lord. One of these names. Not Joshua. Joshua, Jesus, after Zeus, the Greek or the Roman god, I felt comfortable to call the new god the Constantine, the Caesar Constantine, Emperor Constantine, need a new god to rule the people. He was influenced by his devoted Christian mother. They were not Christian, of course, that time. It was a Jewish sect. He decided this particular Jewish god, he made Yeshua, whom you call Jesus, the god of the Roman Empire. The rest is history. You know it very well. He also started the first crusades to force Christendom of his captured countries, etc. It's not the way of the God to force himself on anyone. I don't believe there's no such thing. Soon you start to enforce a system by coercion, by fear, punishment, then God runs away from that. There's no God there anymore. It's unfortunately the case, but it doesn't stay. Okay, I'll continue reading a little bit from the book of Genesis. Are you hiding? Now, the son of Yaakov established the 12 tribes of Israel. And now, after state, his name, when he became God, realized, as explained above, you can go this session 43. You can, if you wish, all these sessions are recorded, and you can, for those who never listen to it, you have to listen from the beginning. 43 sessions, each session, actually the real reading is half an hour. If somebody is interested, you can send him the Word document and can read it by yourself and catch up if you're interested. So what we see, let's start to read it again from here. This is where we stopped the last session. If you look at the above quote from the Torah, we see Israel speaks from the position of Yaakov. Israel, Yaakov became a God man, and you can see what's happening is that his name is keep on shifting. Israel, Yaakov, Israel. And what's happening, he didn't reveal himself to his family as he became a God man. They kept on calling Yaakov the limited human being with limited vision, even supposedly, according to my understanding, he was sixth plane master, but even sixth plane master doesn't have a cosmic vision that as if he is all-knowing. In the state of Israel, he was all-knowing. And we know from the masters, the Satan plays these innocent games as if they revert back to the ignorant state, ask you a question if they don't know anything. He studies the lives of perfect masters. They often do such things. Because they would practice all-knowing, then his sons, who sold their brother Yosef as slave to the Egyptians, would know that his father know what they have done. And all these years, they were hiding their crime from him. And as if he didn't know. And we learn later on by the end of the book that Yaakov, Israel, knew all the time what's going on. But if he would tell his sons, it would ruin the possibility of their understanding their inner spiritual problem. which caused him to sell Yosef. Yosef was a conductor of the spiritual musical band, and we just witnessed this, even this small band, if this conductor would leave them alone, the music would fall apart. It's not working. They sing it once a week when we go to our practice. In a Haifa band, our conductors are really sweating blood to put us together. It's very hard work, really, beyond human limitations to bring all these individual egos to put them together, and all of them have to shut up and focus and concentrate. It's the only situation on earth in which humans can come together and work for the sake of the music, which is amazing. Now he's speaking to his sons. There is a severe famine. We learned already that Yosef told the Pharaoh before the famine, he deciphered his dreams. Severe famine is going to hit the entire Middle East, and there are archaeological records for this. And he told Pharaoh to build special storehouses to collect grain on 7 prosperous years to support the 7 famine years which would come after that. The river Nile, with overflowing all year, presumably dried out or it became very shallow, so it didn't have water for irrigation. Actually, Egypt in the old days was self-irrigation anyway. The Nile was flooding, overflowing, and they learned how to do so. They did pump the water. There are all kinds of methods. They survived. They were one of the most coveted countries on the Middle East because they had this mighty river of sweet water. Israel should have seen behind the veil what is happening, hides behind these words. These stories raise many puzzling questions. To understand a little bit more, you can go to the former sessions 40, 42, 41. Here we are at session 43. These are quotes from the Torah, which I made, and I'm going to skip it. I included it for the sake of the reader, so it doesn't need to read 2 books, because I keep on referring to the original Genesis, but this, of course, the English translation, which is not literally, is more or less just the same story. I made some corrections to adapt to make it a bit closer to the Hebrew original, but the Hebrew original has some deep spiritual meaning which cannot be translated. I spoke of this since the very beginning. Now what the story is, the brothers are going to Egypt to buy food, and then they meet Yosef. And of course, after 20 years, I didn't recognize him. He was just a boy of 18 or 19. They need to spend 12 years in prison. For whatever reasons, the wife of his superior wanted to rape Yosef, to rape him. She keep on seducing him to have sex with her. And when he refused, she got mad at him and complained that he tried to rape her, so he was thrown to the jail, etc. So what happened when Yosef came out of the prison because he deciphered the dream of the Pharaoh? The Pharaoh made Yosef the viceroy of Egypt. From day to day, he told Yosef, you go ahead and hold the country because you are the wisest. And actually what happened, to my understanding, that the Pharaoh explained Yosef He was not all ordinary human being. The Pharaoh experienced, was standing before him a divine being. And this is the reason why he gave to somebody who was complete novice. He didn't spend one day in school. Just imagine to run such a mighty empire, one of the greatest empires on earth at that time. You need special schools and tutoring for the who would be next ruler or king or pharaoh or whatever name you give it. You cannot just sit on the throne and start to run the country. It's not working like this. And when somebody who was not suitable was sitting on the throne, he would destroy the country. Now, what is the brothers are coming to Egypt to buy food, and for whatever reasons, they come to the office of Yosef, which is another strange question. How could be that some peasants, people come with donkeys to buy food, as if Yosef is selling it. The caravans coming to Egypt from all over the Middle East, even from today's Turkey. The Hittite lived because everybody was starving, including Greece, everywhere. The entire Mediterranean was in a very severe famine. The only place to get food was in Egypt. And they come and as if in the grocery store, Joseph was sitting there and delivering the goods to the people. And of course, it doesn't make sense. Most likely, instructing the guards, if my brothers are coming, most likely give their identification. Hebrews, a very unique appearance, the headgear or dresses, beards, very typical Jewish beards, etc. And most likely they were sent, brothers were sent to the office of Yosef, and Yosef was selling them the food, but he demanded, he started asking questions. Where is your father? And do you have another brother? Because he was missing his brother Benjamin. There were two brothers from the Rachel, who died while giving birth to Benjamin. And Joseph wanted to know what's going on with him. So he demands the brothers to bring Benjamin with them back. He wanted to see him because they accused him of being spies. Now the brothers went there, bought food, and Joseph kept one of the brothers in a prison or under his custody till they bring Benjamin. The both are not spies. He blamed them being, they came to not to buy food, but to investigate the country because the country was a non-stop invasions from all the countries around them. Now, the father Yaakov said to them, speaking to his sons, with the 10 tribes of Israel, you have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Shimon is no more. And now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me. Then Reuven, the elder, the firstborn, said to his father, you may put both of my sons to death if I do not bring him back to you and trust him to my care, and I will bring him back. But Yaakov said, my son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. Harm comes to him on the journey you are taking. You will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow. If you look at spiritually at this story, Yaakov was disguising behind the role of Israel, testing his sons. The problem with the 10 tribes, they have to understand the major problem who caused them to sell the brother was to be their conductor, even he was almost the youngest. But he was supposed to be, he was designed to be the conductor of the spiritual symphony. And the brothers didn't understand the role. And actually, sadly to all of us, later on, the children of Israel, the 12 tribe of Israel, who eventually got out of Egypt and received the Torah by Master Moses, they never understood the spiritual meaning. It's not them, it's we, the spiritual people. They represent all of us, the spiritual people. All spiritual people participate in this effort, and we all use a word fail, but it simply didn't work out for whatever reason. And this book is going to explain the book of Judges and the Exodus, will explain us the harsh lessons, what entails to walk on the spiritual path. The meaning of Torah is the guide for on the spiritual path. That's the meaning of the word Torah. The personality of Yosef solves the ancient riddle that all aspirants of goodness throughout the generations have sought. How is it that a righteous person suffers, an evil person enjoys himself? This troublesome question disturbs people's minds to this day. Why did Providence apparently abandon Yosef, leading to such severe suffering? Being sold as a slave by his brothers and abused by his Egyptian owner? Hebrew commentaries say that Potiphar tried to rape Yosef. An angel castrated him. Yosef was as beautiful like his mother, was exceptionally good-looking boy. Incredible. All the women were going insane just by looking at him. Later, Potiphar's promiscuous wife demanded that Yosef sleep with her, and when he refused, she had him thrown into prison, or under the watch of God's circle of Yahweh Elohim. These are called the lofty form of world management. As you can see in the first chapter of Genesis, seventh day, the Christian commentators moved the last 7 days to the second chapter, but they should remain the first chapter. And then the first time, the expression Yahweh Elohim, meaning, to make it simple for our understanding, I would call it the fraternity of the masters. That's a place where all the advanced soul who reach perfection, God realization, become one, but not as some of us think. Each divine being is individual. They don't merge together like one bubble, like one drop of water. So walking like this, but they share a spiritual state of union that we on earth cannot comprehend. But we have a glimpse of this when we play the music. Then it is a glimpse of a glimpse of a glimpse of what unity might be. Watchful eyes focus on Yosef all the time. Yosef actually goes through the process I described in previous chapters about Yaakov, Israel. At the beginning of the essay, I discussed the matter of Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel, as you call it, Abel, are the two sides that make up our personalities. And the process that each of us is supposed to undergo from the consciousness of kind to the consciousness of heaven, consciousness of the physical materialistic man to the consciousness of the spiritual person. Now Yosef goes through the process by which Yaakov, the advanced spiritual person, ascends until he reaches the state of consciousness of Israel, which I call it Israel, is a man of God, is a God man, literally, which is what I also call the Shabbos. Shabbos, seventh day, or seventh plane of consciousness, it's all the same. The supreme state of consciousness in which man fulfills the divine command. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So we, human beings, are supposed to become incarnation of Godhead on earth. But in this set of where we are, we cannot do it individually. We must learn how to work together, form a unity of all the humans together. Then we would, if we would do it more or less properly, would have some understanding of spirituality and the goal of creation, etc. Most of our questions wouldn't be. I would define a spiritual state I call Yaakov as a Friday, which according to various spiritual schools corresponds to the sixth level of consciousness, while seventh level is a union of earthly human consciousness with divine consciousness. In the sixth stage, Yaakov, the person who knows and recognizes the reality of the Creator, experiences and sees him. In the seven states of Shabbos, the union of physical and spiritual states occurs because nothing in human consciousness buffers them. Explaining this state of mind is not possible. In fact, you must experience it to be there. It's the situation we were all destined to reach, and if we persevere, we will. The chief characteristic of this state of mind is that the person here has no grudges, no negative feelings towards anyone. His mind is completely free of any shadow of dark impressions. All the residues of the past were completely wiped out from his subconscious mind, and his soul glows in heavenly splendor. One can only achieve this through severe suffering, like a diamond that undergoes painful grinding to become perfectly clear. It should be clear to all of us that this exalted circle is not closed to the privileged, but open to everyone, whoever he may be. The circle automatically accepts the worst criminals when they decide they no longer hate anyone and continue this way, regardless of the circumstances. But reaching the level of Abraham of Israel is already a very long process that can take place over millions of years of practice. Time, in fact, is nothing but an illusion. We will not deal with it here, the point of time. Time is actually the manifestation of our movement in the physical creation, and each time make a circle. You can call this circle a lifespan. We can call a lifespan a year, it's metaphorically, or any name, like the bark of a tree. If you cut the tree, the bark of a tree, we can see the layers of the circles. Each layer is a year, a sojourn of the seasons while Earth is moving around the sun, or in the olden days, the sun was moving around the Earth. It doesn't matter actually, spiritually. Of course, we know the Earth actually is not rotating the sun, they're all together moving with some very strange, very complicated path or whatever. Because the sun itself is moving with the speed of 50,000 kilometers an hour towards the center of the galaxy. etc. It's not the whole story here. One may wonder why Yosef, who is now the actual ruler of Egypt, with the king's seal in his hand, does not get up, take a military unit, and go to visit his father and brothers. After all, he knows his father mourns him every day. How is this possible? If I'm not mistaken, Canaan was an Egyptian province at the time. Sometimes Egypt spread throughout the Middle East. But if Yosef would come to visit his father and brothers, now the ruler of Egypt, the entire story would have lost all its meaning. And what happened next will explain this. This actually is a big riddle. He is already absent from his family for about 20 years. It's already 9 years have passed since he became the viceroy of Egypt. And all these years, let's say the past 9 years, there were 7 years of prosperity, and then began 2 years of famine. In the second year, his brothers come to buy food. But presumably they had some reservoirs in the homeland in Canaan, the promised land. And he was waiting with patience till they come. He could have gone there by himself or send a caravan to the location of his father. He knew where they were located and sell them food, accidentally mentioned. But no, then again, the spiritual meaning of the story would be lost. He needed to wait with patience till they will come to him. And this is one of his very great characteristics of Yosef as a spiritual person. He knows that to be patient and to wait as long as it takes is mandatory, is basic. And then we learn later on, especially the book of Exodus, that we have to learn to be patient and not to complain, accept our situation as it is. It's extremely hard. This is the root cause of all our problems on earth. And we'll conclude our session here. See you next week, our wedding. Okay. And then stop it.